So I wanted, before we get started, to let everyone know that I have a new podcast out, and it's called Meditations. If you like the Meditations segment of this current podcast, you'll like the Meditations podcast. It's nothing but 20 minutes of meditative sounds. And now, on with the podcast.
Americans love scenery. We want to see it all, from one coast to the next, Mount Rushmore down to the Everglades. So hop into a Chevy Malibu and take the scenic route. It's the car you knew America could build. There's a place where people count on friendships they can trace back generations, where they can count on the same stool at the coffee shop waiting for them every morning. This place is called Glen Ellen, and you can find it in every bottle of Glen Ellen wine. This is craft brewed Herman Joseph's, the smoothest, easiest drinking specialty beer in the entire solar system. And I believe you'll find drinkable in the dictionary right after don't order a beer you can't drink. Zoingo! Boingo! The freestyle pogo with more boing, more bounce. Bounce further, bounce higher with Zoingo Boingo. To see what makes Arrowhead Mountain Spring water different from those other waters, you have to go back to the source. And with Arrowhead, that means going back a little farther and longer than most. Between security challenged and security strengthened, there's one important word: how. And it is the how that makes all the difference to our nation and our world. Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for. What makes Kraft Singles so good? 2 out of every 3 kids don't get the recommended amount of calcium. But with Kraft Singles, they get a good source of calcium and the taste they love. Kraft Singles. Magic every single time. Throw boring overboard with a new real meal from Long John Silver's. A meal worthy of a plate, just $4.99. Only at Long John Silver's. We may not all be geniuses, but we can all do something smart. Introducing the Hyundai 199 Sonata Lease. It's a smart deal on a really smart car.
I wrote a script and I gave it to a guy who reads scripts, and he read it and he said he really likes it, but he thinks I need to rewrite it. I said, fuck that, I'll just make a copy.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, Trump Tuesday, May the 27th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have headlines, patriotic shorts, motivation, Bishop Barron, Ayn Rand, and Donald Trump. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. And now the headlines from One America News. Duck Dynasty's Phil Robertson dies at 79 following Alzheimer's diagnosis. From Adam Moxar, France, Marine Le Pen says France will take all necessary steps. Radical mosques will be closed. Hate preachers will be expelled. Salafism and the Muslim Brotherhood will be liquidated. From Secretary Kennedy, I've never seen a president since my uncle, Democrat or Republican, willing to stand up to industry when it's the right thing to do. Because of POTUS's leadership, the entire government is standing behind the Maha Report. Together, we will make America healthy again. From Mr. Guns and Gear, van appears to target Liverpool fans in the UK. The driver has been arrested, but no motive nor description has been provided. FBI launches investigations into cocaine bag found at Biden White House, D.C., pipe bombing, and Dobbs leak. Pope Leo XIV welcomed the Prime Minister of Ethiopia to a private audience in the Apostolic Palace this morning. During the meeting, the Prime Minister presented the Pope with coffee from the country as he said to remember Ethiopia. Man honors fallen soldiers by purchasing refrigerator at incredible discount. And this Memorial Day, President Donald Trump lays a wreath at Arlington in tribute to the brave who never came home. And those are the headlines for Tuesday, May the 27th. Back in a minute. Thank you, and now the Donald Trump Corner.
These warriors picked up their mantle of duty and service, knowing that to live for others meant always that they might die for others. They gave everything, and we owe them everything and much, much more. Every Gold Star family fights a battle long after the victory is won, and today we lift you up and we hold you high. Our debt to them is eternal, and it does not diminish with time. It only grows and grows and grows with each passing year. The greatest monument to their courage is not carved in marble or cast in bronze. It's all around us, an American nation, 325 million strong. Thank you, thank you, thank you for giving America the brightest light in your lives.
I've been following. I've met every president since my uncle was president. And I've never seen a president, Democrat or Republican, that is willing to stand up to industry when it's the right thing to do. And they're willing to talk about really difficult issues and to hold his stand on those issues. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm very, very grateful to you. I've sat with industry again and again in a room with him and heard him say, we can't do that. We're going to do something different, deliver news that they didn't want to hear. So I'm grateful to this. This is a milestone. There's never in American history has the federal government taken a position on public health like this. And because of President Trump's leadership, it's not just one cabinet secretary, it's the entire government that is behind this report.
And that was the Trump Corner. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the patriotic short.
Bill Maher just crushed the Bernie AOC dream for the left.
What do you think of the fact that the people who are getting the big crowds right now are AOC and Bernie Sanders? They're going around the country. Thank you. There's that same guy. I call him the always wrong guy. Okay, but I feel like, big crowds, again, the shiny object that the Democrats chase. It's not about the big crowds that come out to you when you're talking in a festival or wherever they are. I think it's because I think Bernie showed up at Coachella. That must have been fun for the fans. It's who shows up on Election Day. And I just don't see that's the ticket. I mean, Cory Booker, I know you've worked with him. I like Cory a lot from my home state of New Jersey. Made a speech for 25 hours. Again, just whacking each other off. This is just not what's going to get the job done.
And that was the patriotic short. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, time to get motivated.
What gets you out of bed? What gets you off the couch? What gets you in the gym? It's not your alarm. It's not your parents. It's not your friends. It's you. The only one that can make it happen for you is you.
It's really hard to be led by your butt. But I'm not qualified. But I'm not good enough. But I'm not smart enough. But I didn't go to the right school. But I don't have enough money. But. If you're ever going to step into your future, if you're ever going to step into your destiny, you're going to have to get over your butt.
And that's what a pity party is when you have an undisciplined mind and you meditate on the wrong thing over and over and over again. If you're going to throw a pity party, I'll give you 3 days and that's it. And after 3 days, you cut off your record player, your iPod, your MP3, and you come up with a plan.
Do I just sit there and settle? No, I don't. I say enough's enough, man, and I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to keep going until I get it. You chase something that you believe you deserve until you get it. And it doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter how many times you've been fired. It doesn't matter how many people don't believe in you. Just go until you get it. That's the point. Are you tired yet? Some of you need to get tired. You need to be tired of what's going on in your life. Get tired of your habits. Get tired of the actions that you're putting in every day. You gotta change, man, or nothing changes.
I woke up one day and stopped making excuses. I woke up one day and looked at the man in the mirror and was like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Wake up. It's showtime. Let's go.
Don't be a wimpy person who's afraid of everything hard.
Do not take the easy way out.
You need to walk through the mud in life, guys. If you ever want to get to the higher ground. The higher ground is where you look in the mirror and you have respect. And you went through the work, the sweat equity of it all. And the end product is something you can be proud of. A legacy in life that you put your signature to. That means something. You're not speaking hollow words. You're backing those motherfuckers up with action.
That's what lions do. Lions don't give up. Lions don't quit. Lions hunt. That's what we do for a living.
I still grind. I love to grind. If you're competing in one of my businesses, I'm going to kick your ass because I'm going to outgrind you.
You have to be willing to work in places people don't see.
While the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working.
There's a motherfucker out there who wants what you have, who wants the position you are, who wants the job you have, who wants the wife that you have, or the husband. There's someone out there hungry and wants everything you can have. So make that a motivation for you.
This world ain't gonna give you what you deserve. This world gonna give you what you work for. I put that work in every single day. And when you wake up every single day and you put that work in, and yes, for some of us, it might be harder than others. Man, whatever. We do what it is we gotta do. Especially when we're desperate.
Winning's not loyal to you. It doesn't care about you. Winning doesn't care how sore you are. Winning doesn't care how much sleep you get. Winning doesn't care how hard you work at times. Winning requires all of you and then more, and it promises you nothing. It's a mastermind of creating fear and doubt in your mind. It causes setback after setback. So the question is about winning. Are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? And why chase this thing called winning? Because the only thing that's guaranteed in life, if you don't chase it, is losing.
Now is the time to grind. Now is the time to show the world that I was placed here for a purpose.
And that was a little bit of motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now a little bit of meditation. And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now the Daily Stoic.
Garden is not for show. First, practice not letting people know who you are. Keep your philosophy to yourself for a bit. In just the manner that fruit is produced, the seed buried for a season, hidden, growing gradually, so it may come to full maturity. But if the grain sprouts before the stalk is fully developed, it will never ripen. That is the kind of plant you are, displaying fruit too soon, and the winter will kill you. Epictetus, Discourses, 4.8.35b through 37. After all you've heard, it might be tempting to think, this stuff is great, I get it, I'm a Stoic. But it's not that easy. Just because you agree with the philosophy doesn't mean the roots have fully taken hold in your mind. Fooling with books so you can sound smart or have an intimidating library is like tending a garden to impress your neighbors. Growing one to feed a family, that's a pure and profitable use of your time. The seeds of Stoicism are long underground. Do the work required to nurture and tend to them, so that they and you are prepared and sturdy for the hard winters of life.
And that was the Daily Stoic. And now, His Excellency, Bishop Robert Barron.
Your being increases in the measure that you give it away. Put that on your refrigerator. Live by it. Every instinct in us says, no, take things to yourself. Hang on to them. Hoard them. Keep them. Make sure you've got enough. People want some, keep them at bay. That's your possession. But that runs counter to the basic logic of the universe, because the creator of the universe is love. We say God is love. Love isn't something God does from time to time. It's not one of God's attributes. It's what God is, right through. Love, therefore, is the secret. Love is the great mystery, the hidden truth of all things. And the way it works is the more you give of your life, that's what love means, to will the good of the other. The more the divine grace increases in you.
I'm standing before you as a relatively free...
And that was His Excellency, Bishop Robert Barron. And now, the Ayn Rand thought of the day. Quote, men cannot be enslaved politically until they have been disarmed ideologically. When they are so disarmed, it is the victims who take the lead in the process of their own destruction. Unquote. And that was Ayn Rand from the chapter, The Wreckage of the Consensus, from the book, Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, gaslighting.
Gaslighting has become a very, very popular term in modern culture, and a lot of people are using it incorrectly. They're confusing gaslighting with simply lying. Gaslighting is a specific type of psychological abuse in which the abuser targets the victim and makes them think that they're going crazy through the way that they speak to them, through the way that they manipulate the target's perception of reality. Page Sweet of Harvard University defines gaslighting like this. It is a type of psychological abuse aimed at making the victim seem or feel crazy, creating a surreal, interpersonal environment.
Thank you. And on this Tuesday, it's Maria, then Stu.
Mike Lee, your reaction, yields below 5%, the president pushing back, the tariffs on the EU. Some good stuff. Dow Industrial's up 464. Would you buy this rally?
Yeah, absolutely, Maria. I think we're going to get great earnings and news from NVIDIA. Marvel reports the next day. This AI story is fully intact. Mutual funds and hedge funds are very underweight the Mag 7. Hedge funds have some of the lowest net and gross exposure over the last 5 years, so additional market strength is going to lead to FOMO, or fear of missing out. With the $7 trillion on the sidelines, markets are going much, much higher.
All right, FOMO, fear of missing out. Tiana, now the big, beautiful bill is in the hands of the Senate.
Yeah, the Senate. Don't kill the bill. Tighten it up. Add in more spending cuts, because listen to what the bond markets are telling you. We're refinancing $9 trillion of our debt in the next 12 months. They want more spending cuts, and then we will deliver. It's big, it's beautiful, it's the Trump agenda codified.
Cheryl Casoni.
The New York Times right now was reporting, Maria, that the Trump administration is going to cancel about $100 million in federal contracts from Harvard. The battle continues.
Yeah, it sure does. Great show, everybody. Thank you. Tiana Lodesher, Michael Lee, and Cheryl Casoni. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow. Varney and Company picks it up. Stu, take it away.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. The market is just in love with any pause on tariffs. That's what happened over the weekend. President Trump delayed the 50% draconian tariffs on the European Union until July the 9th. The EU commissioner had called the White House asking for more time. Trump agreed. The tariffs delayed, and stocks went straight up. Look at this. The Dow Industrial is set to open close to 500 points higher. The S&P, that's likely to be up about 1.25%. And the Nasdaq, solid gain there. If it transpires to 9:30 when the market opens, you're up about 1.5%. A couple of stocks to watch. NVIDIA will develop new, cheaper AI chips for China. They report Wednesday. The stock is up about 2.5%, solid gain. Apple doing well, despite a Wall Street Journal article that details Tim Cook's difficult year, just shy of $200 a share. Tesla's sales down 49% in Europe. So what? The stock is up 2% at 347. Then we have Bitcoin. It's holding on to its recent gains. At 109,600 is your price. Interest rates moderating. The 10-year well below, well, actually, I'll caution that. It's just below 4.5%. As for the 2-year, that is below 4%. Only just. It's at 3.99. Politics. Putin launches a major drone and rocket attack on Ukraine. Our president calls it absolutely crazy. Russia attacks in the middle of peace talks. Sanctions look likely. On the show today, the cover-up story will not go away. More revelations about who was running the government as Biden declined. It is the president's family, Hunter and Jill, who are under very close scrutiny, along with the inner circle. Our editorial today suggests current Democrat leadership is tainted, the media has lost credibility, and the inner circle is and should be under investigation. And we'll deal with this, the slap seen around the world. It's not often that a head of state is slapped by his wife, but that's what happened when Emmanuel Macron and France's First Lady arrived in Vietnam. The couple's handlers dismissed it. They were just joking around. It is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. Varney and Company is about to begin.
And that was Maria and Stu. And again, he gets it wrong when he says the markets like it when such and such happens. It's not the markets, it's the big banks. It is Jamie Dimon and the other CEOs of the big banks. Jamie Dimon runs JP Morgan, and then whoever the ones that run the other big banks. Those are the market movers. They deal in millions and millions of shares of stock every day. Whenever they say sell or buy, the market responds. You can watch the market move. And this isn't because I say so, but again, because Jim Cramer in his book called Getting Rich Carefully says so. So if you want to find out more about that, get a copy of his book. Or at least go on Kindle and get a sample of it. You might be able to see it in there. But he explains he went to a big shot in one of the big banks, and they demonstrated for him exactly how it works. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, what does the phrase, if you're explaining, you're losing, mean? This was said by Ronald Reagan, speaking of political campaigns. From the perspective of your audience, if you have to explain yourself, you come off looking desperate to convince. As a consequence, you lose the high ground. From a more philosophical perspective, if you have a clear conscience and strong conviction towards the positions you take, your values, truth, and direction, you don't need the opinions or consent of others. As a consequence, you don't need to explain yourself. However, if you yourself are not convinced of the validity and truth of your position, or you can't fully justify your choices, then you continue to expel words in an attempt to create the illusion of certainty. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now from a book that's called Good Inside. What's the opposite of understanding? For this argument's sake, it's convincing. Convincing is the attempt to prove a singular reality, to prove that only one thing is true. Convincing is an attempt to be right, and as a result make the other person wrong. It rests on the assumption that there's only one correct viewpoint. And then my question is this supposed to be convincing? Further, convincing has one goal in mind, being right. And here's the unfortunate consequence of being right. The other person feels unseen and unheard, at which point most people become infuriated and combative, because it feels as if the other person does not accept your realness or worth. Feeling unseen and unheard makes connection impossible. Understanding two things are true and convincing one thing is true are diametrically opposed ways of approaching other people, so a powerful first step in any interaction is to notice which mode you're in. When you're in one thing is true mode, you're judgmental of and reactive to someone else's experience because it feels like an assault on your own truth. As a result, you will seek to prove your own point of view, which in turn makes the other person defensive because they need to uphold the realness of their experience. In one thing is true mode, exchanges escalate quickly. Each person thinks they're arguing about the content of the conversation when in fact they're trying to defend that they are a real, worthy person with a real, truthful experience. And again, is this convincing? Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, psychopolitics.
9. Emotional capitalism. Today, talk of feeling and emotion has grown inflationary. Many academic disciplines are researching emotion. All of a sudden, the human being no longer counts as an animal rational. Instead, man is a creature of sentiment. That said, hardly anyone bothers to ask where this sudden interest in emotions came from. Scientific emotion researchers are clearly not reflecting much on their own activities. Thus, they have failed to remark that the emotional boom stems from an economic process above all. Worse still, utter conceptual confusion prevails. Emotion, feeling, and affect seem interchangeable for many researchers. Yet feeling and emotion are not identical. We speak, for instance, of a feeling for language, athletics, or other people. Sprachgefühl, Ballgefühl, Mitgefühl, respectively, linguistic aptitude, a knack for sports, and compassion. One may have a feel for language or feel for others, but no one has an emotion for language or experiences emotion. There is no such thing as language affect or affect either. Mourning is a feeling too, but it sounds strange to speak of an affect of mourning or an emotion of mourning. Affect and emotion refer to strictly subjective matters, whereas feeling refers to something objective. Feeling can be recounted. It has narrative length or breadth. Neither affect nor emotion admits an account. The crisis of feelings that can be observed in contemporary theater also represents a crisis of giving account, Erzählung. Today, the narrative theater of feelings is yielding to a clamorous theater of affects. Because narrative is lacking, an affective mass gets piled onto the stage. But in contrast to feeling, affect does not open up space. Instead, it steers a linear path in order to discharge, to unload itself. The digital medium is an affect medium too. Digital communication fosters the immediate release of affect, catharsis, Affektabfuhr. Simply on the basis of its temporality, digital communication conveys affect more than it transmits feeling. Shitstorms are streams of affect. They represent exemplary phenomena of digital communication. Feelings are constative. For instance, we say, I have a feeling that. In contrast, it is impossible to say, I have an affect or an emotion that. Emotions are not constative, but performative. They refer to actions and deeds. Furthermore, they are intentional and goal-oriented. Feelings, on the other hand, do not necessarily display an intentional structure. Often, the feeling of anxiety has no concrete object. That is what makes anxiety different from fear, which has an intentional structure, nor is a feel, that is a sense for language, intentional. Its non-intentionality is what distinguishes it from linguistic expression, which, because it expresses, is emotive. A feeling of cosmic oneness, an oceanic sense of the world, ein kosmisches Mitgefühl, ein ozeanisches Weltgefühl, that does not focus on anything or anyone in particular, is also possible. Neither emotions nor affects achieve the dimensions that characterize feelings. Emotions and affects are expressions of subjectivity. Feelings also have a different temporality than emotions. They admit duration. Emotions prove significantly more fleeting and short-lived than feelings. Likewise, affect is often limited to a single moment. In contrast to feelings, emotions do not represent a state. The emotion does not stand. There is no emotion of rest. A feeling of calm is easy to conceive. In contrast, the expression emotional state has a paradoxical ring. Emotions are dynamic, situative, and performative. Emotional capitalism exploits precisely these qualities. Feelings, in contrast, cannot be readily exploited, inasmuch as they have no performativity. Finally, affects are not performative so much as eruptive. They lack performative directionality atmosphere, or mood, Stimmung, differs from both feeling and emotion. It possesses even more objectivity than feeling. Objectively, a space or room can harbor any given atmosphere. An atmosphere or mood expresses a way it is. In contrast, emotions derive from deviations from the way it is. For instance, a place may diffuse a friendly mood. This atmosphere is something wholly objective, but there is no such thing as a friendly emotion or a friendly effect. Atmosphere or mood is neither intentional nor performative. It is the element where one happens to find oneself. Etwas, worin man sich befindet. It represents a state of being or state of mind, Befindlichkeit. As such, atmosphere is static and constellative, whereas emotion is dynamic and performative. Where distinguishes a state, a disposition. In contrast, whither, a direction, defines emotion. Feeling, in turn, is a matter of wherefore, why. Eva Illous's Cold Intimacies, The Making of Emotional Capitalism, offers no answer to the question of why it is that feelings experience a boom under conditions of capitalism in particular. What is more, the book equates feelings and emotions without drawing any conceptual distinction at all. Nor is it very useful to locate the question of feelings under capitalism at its inaugural stages. Illus writes, Weber's Protestant ethic contains at its core a thesis about the role of emotions in economic action. For it is the anxiety provoked by an inscrutable divinity which is at the heart of the capitalist entrepreneur's frantic activity. It is mistaken to understand anxiety in terms of emotion. Anxiety is a feeling. Its corresponding temporality proves incompatible with affect. Affect is not a constant state. As such, it lacks the constancy that defines feeling. It is the constant feeling of anxiety that would entail frantic entrepreneurial activity. But what Weber analyzes is the ascetic capitalism of accumulation, which obeys rational logic more than it follows emotional logic. Accordingly, capitalism of this sort does not feed into consumer capitalism, which derives its profits from emotions. Moreover, consumer capitalism operates through the selling and consumption of meanings and emotions. It is not use value, but emotive or cultic value that plays a constitutive role in the economy of consumption. By the same token, Illus fails to account for the fact that emotion comes to possess value for capitalism only when a switch to immaterial production occurs. Emotions have become a means of production only in our own times. Illus also contends that the core of Durkheimian sociology, solidarity, represents a bundle of emotions binding social actors to the central symbols of the society they inhabit. Summing up her argument, she declares, unbeknown to them, canonical sociological accounts of modernity contain, if not a full-fledged theory of emotions, at least numerous references to them. Anxiety, love, competitiveness, indifference, guilt are all present in most historical and sociological accounts of the ruptures which have led to the modern era. All of these references to various sociological theories of emotion do nothing at all to explain the boom of emotion today. This corresponds to Illus's neglect of conceptual distinctions between feeling, emotion, and affect. After all, indifference and guilt are neither affects nor emotions. It is only meaningful to speak of the feeling of guilt. Clearly, Illus has failed to notice that the boom of emotion in our times ultimately derives from neoliberalism. The neoliberal regime deploys emotions as resources in order to bring about heightened productivity and achievement. Starting at a certain level of production, rationality, which is the medium of disciplinary society, hits a limit. Henceforth, it is experienced as a constraint, an inhibition. Suddenly it seems rigid and inflexible. At this point, emotionality takes its place, which is attended by the feeling of liberty, the free unfolding of personality. After all, being free means giving free rein to emotions. Emotional capitalism banks on freedom. It hails emotion as the expression of unbridled subjectivity. Neoliberal technologies of power exploit this same subjectivity mercilessly. Rationality is defined by objectivity, generality, and steadiness. As such, it stands opposed to emotionality, which is subjective, situative, and volatile. Emotions arise, above all, when circumstances change and perception shifts. Rationality entails duration, consistency, and regularity. It prefers stable conditions. The neoliberal economy, increasingly dismantling continuity and progressively integrating instability in order to enhance productivity, is pushing the emotionalization of the productive process forward. Accelerated communication also promotes its emotionalization. Rationality is slower than emotionality. It has no speed, as it were. Thus, the pressure of acceleration now is leading to a dictatorship of emotion. Consumer capitalism enlists emotion in order to generate more desires and needs. Emotional design molds emotions and shapes emotional patterns for the sake of maximizing consumption. All in all, today we do not consume things so much as emotions. The former cannot be consumed without end, but the latter can. Emotions assume dimensions beyond the scope of use value. In so doing, they open up a field of consumption that is new and knows no limit. In disciplinary society, where one's task is to function, emotions represent disturbances. Accordingly, every effort is made to weed them out. Disciplinary society's concerted orthopedy seeks to make a shapeless mass of dough into an unfeeling machine. Machines function best when all emotions and feelings have been switched off. The boom in emotion today stems, not least of all, from a new immaterial mode of production in which communicative interaction plays an ever greater role. It calls not just for cognitive competence, but also for emotional competence. In this context, the integral person is installed in the very process of production. Daimler Chrysler has publicly declared that since employees' behavior and their social and emotional skills play an increasing role in the evaluation of their work, this will be assessed on the basis of objectives achieved and the quality of outcomes. Now, sociality, communication, and even individual conduct are being exploited. Emotions provide raw material with which to optimize corporate communication. As Hewlett-Packard puts it, HP is a firm where one can breathe a spirit of communication, a strong spirit of interrelations, where people can communicate, where you go towards others. It is an effective relationship. A paradigm shift is taking place at the administrative level of companies. Emotions are being granted more and more significance. Rational management techniques are being replaced by emotional management. Managers today are leaving the principle of rational action behind. Increasingly, they resemble motivation coaches. Motivation connects with emotion. Positive emotions provide the ferment that makes motivation grow. Emotions are performative insofar as they call forth certain actions. As inclinations, they represent the energetic, the sensory, or even sensuous basis for action. Emotions are steered by the limbic system, which is also where the drives are seated. They form the pre-reflexive, half-conscious, physico-instinctual level of action that escapes full awareness. Neoliberal psychopolitics seizes on emotion in order to influence actions on this pre-reflexive level. By way of emotion, it manages to cut and operate deep inside. As such, emotion affords a highly efficient medium for psychopolitically steering the integral person, the person as a whole.
And that was Chapter 9, Emotional Capitalism, from Psychopolitics by Byung-Chul Han, Neoliberalism and New Technologies of Power. Back in a minute. Thank you, and this is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that materialism is a concept.